Dominique Review Productions brings you a classic entertainment in a modern world done in a vintage manner, with the cast that's keeping the golden age of radio alive, and a day in the life of Hollywood 1950s, with the voices of Dominique Breckenridge as Betty Gray, Jasmine Lofton as Rachael Hagen, Tony Ballard as Mason Davis, and Tamara Solomon as Pike Anderson. Tonight, a day in the life of gets inner inspiration from all of those romantic stories that heavily make up our love for music, arts, motion pictures, and radio. We explore an original story by Dominique Breckenridge, following the lives of the love of two young lovers, George and Margaret. As soon as one finds out, sometimes love doesn't work out in the way that one thinks it should. There are times most of us know when love steps in and time steps out. But no matter how we try, once we've missed that door from opening, we can never ever catch up with the time and that timing again. Thus, we find our two lovers tonight in Margaret Lindsay. As I stand on the shores watching the waters wash and wave by, I can see her face and I can hear her voice. The way I remember her must have been the way she remembered me. It's been so long ago, but still I remember the way she looked the night I died. I met Margaret 10 years ago, and we were just kids then. About our constant presence in one another's lives remained eternal.
Catherine! It happened! It finally happened!
What's happened, Margaret? What is it?
George! It's George! He asked me to marry you!
Has he now? Well, it's about time.
Oh, Kathy. It isn't. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it? Oh, what an adventure it'll be!
And what an adventure it was. Full of ups and downs and despair, happiness, loneliness, and completeness. After what was supposed to be a wedding date, came a letter from my immediate return to England. My sister, Minot, had informed me our father had died, and leaving his only son in charge of his unresolved affairs.
George, would you like another cup of coffee?
Oh, sure, Minot, thanks.
I can't believe it. You seem so American now. Coffee over tea.
Oh, not so American, Minot. A lot of Brits drink coffee. Where do you think I picked up this block of coffee?
Yeah, that could be. No, George. Stay seated. I won't be a minute. Oh, hello, Ollie. Another letter?
Yes, miss.
Thank you, Ollie. Oh, here you go. This is for you.
Thanks, Miss Guthrie.
Hey, who was it, Minot?
It was an Ollie, a letter from America, addressed to you.
America? It must be from Margaret.
Well, come on, George. What is it? From Margaret?
Yes. No. Margaret's cousin, Catherine. She says Margaret's been married.
Yes, Margaret had married, and that was the hardest letter I had to write. Margaret had insisted on sending the letter herself, but after days turned into weeks, it seemed the only words that could fill the page was, "Dear, dearest, darling, beloved, my own George." Each word being crossed out to be replaced with the next. I didn't know what else could be done but write George myself. How did the story go? I don't quite remember. It's one of those memories you spend your whole life trying desperately to forget.
No one knows that more than I do. I cannot relive that moment any more in my mind than I already did then. I've been trapped inside misery ever since I sold my soul to the devil, which is exactly what I did the moment I walked away from George. But then, I never walked away, really. The dark shadow was to follow wherever I lay tread.
I came as soon as I received word. Margaret, You look as pale as the horse in the end of time. What is it you want me to do?
I want you to end it, Kathy.
End it? End what?
The voice, Kathy. It's the ever-presence that follows me day in and day out, and the constant presence in my ever-turn, and there's no peace or no sleep, and I'm eternally scared for the wrong that I've caused, and his voice, it haunts me, and to no end.
Whose voice, Margaret?
George.
I knew then that Margaret had run mad. In the thought of George and marrying another man when her heart belonged to another, I knew then that the thought of such a crime would forever eat at her mind until she was mad. But as I sat there and watched her tremble with beads of sweat dripping from her face, I knew she was already mad. Mad with grief, anger, fright, loss, despair, unhappiness. I didn't know how to end it, but she had asked me to commit this deed, and looking back on it now, maybe I should have never asked her, what does she want me to do? Because I already knew the answer, but then again, maybe I should have done what she wanted me to. Because it would have been a far better end than the one Margaret came to. Margaret, my dear, what do you want me to do? How can I end what ails you?
Kill me.
I can't! What do you mean by asking such an unholy request? Margaret, I know you're suffering from painful memories, perhaps wrong decisions, but they...
No suffering. Kathy, repaid. I'm being repaid for the wrong that I caused George. And he's paying me back for it. He stands at my window at night to ensure that I won't sleep. There's no peace. No peace.
And there was no peace. No peace. For all the days long. My mind could only rest on the thought of Margaret. And the very thought of Margaret only brought me misery. And misery, no drink, woman, gambling, family, or friend could bring comfort to. I was lost without Margaret. After 10 years of being near her and being surrounded by her, I was lost now and gone. It seemed like living in a world with her in it was too much and yet not enough. No matter that my eyes didn't lay on her. They saw her every time I closed them, and I remembered her every time I opened them. And all I had to live on were those 10 years that Margaret and I spent together, finding our love for one another and knowing that one day, that very day, I would marry her. But it would not be so. The fates had a different plan in mind. One of death and depth and darkness that fell over the hole that I'd fallen into. It wasn't until my sister Minot came out to me on the rubble of stone upon the moorland that the final blow of my curse was issued.
I received a letter today, George. I don't know if it's right to keep it from you, and I don't know if it's right to tell you. Yet, I fear that either decision would be wrong. So my hands are tied. My spirit is broken, knowing that the life of my brother depends on these words. Catherine writes me in hopes of explaining her undying regret of what she has done.
What has she done? What has she done? There's no penalty. No penalty severe enough for the pain that she's caused upon me. No death can justify. Nothing can be justified enough for what she has done to me.
Maybe there is, George.
Minot, what is it? What do you mean? What do you mean maybe there is? What has happened? Margaret, what has happened to Margaret? Tell me at once.
She has fallen upon that unspeakable death in which you claim is so unworthy of her soul. She made one lasting, dying attempt in writing me. hoping that it would bring you peace, knowing that she is gone, and that finally you may hear her words after so long of denying them.
How did she?
She walked with you, clear out to the cliff of the sea. She writes that you have never left her side since the day she was married. You had been ever there with her, and it was you who told her that very dreadful night to walk out of her window doors, down by the sea, and jump to her freedom.
How do you know this is true? How do you know? A letter that she wrote before such an act. That doesn't mean that this wasn't a play that was performed.
The letter was sent by her cousin Catherine, who enclosed the letter with one of her own, and a clipping of the gruesome death that captured Margaret Lindsy's life. She mentioned briefly, very swiftly, that she hopes that if the only peace that Margaret can find was to leave this life, that the only peace you can find in this is to live in it for her. She told me to give you this.
It's the ribbon. The ribbon I bought for her all those years ago. It's how I met Margaret. She was shopping with her mother and wanted to buy a piece of ribbon to tie her hair. Her mother would hear nothing of it. I watched from the door in the store where I worked for an extra shilling to buy that ribbon for her. You see, she knew not who I was when I wrapped that ribbon up and waited until next I would see her in that very shop. And I carried this packaged ribbon with me until the day I saw her again. Very swift with the hands I was. Very swift. I was able to slip it into the folds of the gloves without even a notice. I waited on the other end of the way and I watched her as she left the shop, sliding her hands into her gloves upon the exit. The look on her face when she read what I wrote on the inside of that package paper, I knew from then on she was mine. I did all I could to live the rest of my life the way Catherine had asked me to. But that face that looked upon me so lovingly, it would be my death in the very end. For it was her who called me home.
Good night, everybody.
The voices heard on tonight's broadcast were provided by Jasmine Lofton as Rachael Hagen and Margaret, Tamara Solomon as Pike, Anderson, and Catherine. My name in real life, Tony Ballard as Mason Davis and George, and the wonderful Dominique Breckenridge as Betty Gray and Minogue. Reminding you that all of the women's wardrobe in tonight's broadcast was provided by her line, Dominique's Private Collection.
In life of, thanks you for tuning in to our broadcast. Remember to subscribe to our Dominique Review YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook. Follow us at Dominique Review on Twitter. And remind your friends and family to come on in and join us and watch us before we bring you an all-new episode next week. This has been a Dominique Review production. Good night, everybody. Did someone else say that?
I did say goodnight. I said goodnight.
Okay.
But I didn't say it like you did. It was just like goodnight.
See you later.
I've been tricked, but you said that one night. That
See you
was
later.
See you later. That was real. Good
Next time was
night.
good.
See you later.
No.
thank you if everyone can grab a
Making
cup.
me crazy.
Yes.
Jamaican
Oh yeah,
crazy man.
yeah.
Where's her plats? I love plats.
Tea, she don't really need her.
Yeah,
her
they
sweet.
probably won't see mine.
Righto, how much,
Ooh,
Okay.
I can pretend to drink tea.
Oh yeah, if anyone wants a bottle of water, some water is
Yeah,
good.
a vintage matter.
Well, not in a manner.
Hallelujah. Praying mantra. All right, let's nail it. Let's get it. 7-minute script. Here we go. And I knew, she knew not. Wait, what is this?
She knew not who I was when I
Sorry.
was. It's okay.
That old English. She was shopping with her.
Can anyone else hear me with English accent? I'm looking at either one. I just need, Mike was supposed to say yes, miss, and thanks, Miss Guthrie. But if you can't do it, I'll improvise. Let's not all speak at once.
Yes, miss. Thanks, Miss Guthrie. All right,
Whoa.
what is it? That goes hard. I told you it was gonna happen.
Turn Puerto Rican now.
I told you it was gonna happen. Thanks, Miss Guthrie.
Thanks, Miss Guthrie.
Thanks, Miss Guthrie.
Like evening, Governor. This is like a little boy, like Ollie, like Oliver.
Guthrie.
May I please have some more?
Thanks, Miss Guthrie. Guthrie. Yeah, I can't.
Guthrie.
Guthrie.
Guthrie?
There you go. Guthrie.
Guthrie.
Thanks, Miss Guthrie.
That's it.
Okay.
So, yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Thanks, Miss Guthrie.
Thanks, Miss Guthrie. Okay.
All right, here we go. It's okay. Let's start it from who
I
is
should
this
read
for now?
ahead. I should read ahead.
Okay, let's okay, door shuts, footsteps. Okay, who is it now?
Yes. Margaret had married.
Wait, start over. That was not the C.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was my flub. Okay, so we don't have to pick it up. You go ahead and pick it up from where you were. Okay, one more time. Say it as if you're crying out. Like for help to regain your sanity. So as if tears are apt to come.
Okay.
So pick it up. What was the last line? Kathy, cue her in from what is it you want me to do? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
What is it you want me to do?
Have the last one.
Oh, I can't. Margaret, I know you're suffering.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Because every time I stand, I'd be popping stuff. We can,
You
Yeah, I'm
gotta
sorry.
record that part.
You ready?
redo that.
Here we go.
You did hit the button, correct? Are you laughing at me?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
The wonderful Dominique Breckenridge.
Oh, right on.
That was Pike Anderson for
Who was? Oh, yeah.
real. Yeah, this script was something else for real.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It's like we get to watch a movie and
Be in it.
be it at the same time. Yeah. What is that film?
Isn't that from wait, I can't remember. Where is it
A
from?
cartoon?
No. Don't wait.